podcast of the Neil Haley Show, Frank Fiore Show, and Artilla podcast with our hosts, Dr. Mohhmaded, Frank Fiore, and Paul Hollis, author of the Hall of Man series and owner of Hall of Man Publishing. And I'm just here to have a conversation about AI. Guys, how are you? We're going to use a lot of this for training for authors. However, AI is becoming, so I'm going to open it up into a conversation, get Frank's take and get Dr. Mohhammad's take. When what we're hearing now, according to Ohio State University, this just came out, is making it mandatory for their students to take a generative AI course as a course to start their course thing. It just came out. I just saw it in the news today. Dr. Mohhammaded, what is that going to mean for people's AI education, especially going into college? They see, again, K through 12, the U.S. is doing an awful job training people on AI.
Yes, no, I think it's a good move, and it should be done even earlier in the child's and kids and teenagers' education, because what we had before, like Excel, Word, as a basic IT knowledge, is nothing right now compared to having the knowledge to prompt AI. So yeah, it's a good move, and I read similar news in China. They're doing it with
6 years old. That's way better.
Yeah, exactly.
6-year-old. Come
Yes,
on now.
with the
way better. Yeah.
with not kindergarten, after kindergarten, primary school. They're getting there some exposure. So yeah, I think it's good. It's good development.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question for Mohhammaded. We've spoken a lot about how authors obviously going to use AI, and I want to speak to Mohhammaded about using AI to create book covers. And what should we do? How should we use AI to create the book covers? Because book covers are really important as far as grabbing people's attention or what have you. So you have any rules of thumb in creating a book cover so that when you work with AI to create a book cover for your book, you should at least look at these particular elements?
Yes. You need to, let's start first with the two ways of generating images. With AI, you have what is called text to image, which is like you prompt in text and then you get an image. But you also have something else that you may use, which is image to image. So you give an initial image and then you give a prompt, and then the AI will generate an image and will keep whatever instructions you had with that initial image. So this opens up a lot more possibilities. For example, you could feed it the 10 best-selling books in your category, all their cover pages, and you could ask, my book is about this and so on. This is how I want to differentiate, but acquire the elements of these successful books from their covers. So then it will analyze the images and it will understand the semantics of the positions of colors and elements, and then generate something that is much better.
That's very interesting. That's a good thing to know. So just not only you're doing using AI to do a search to improve your ranking, by putting in the proper keywords and what have you, and compare it to your competitors that you've chosen, but now you can say, okay, now I'm going to take their covers. I'm going to have AI analyze their covers with the current cover that I have, or a cover that I'm going to build. So yeah, that's very powerful.
Yes, and there is an additional layer, is that you can give it the URL of the page where Amazon or whichever marketplace you're using, they're giving the compliance rules of the cover, the dimensions, how many colors, there are rules that may be there, and you can feed that as well, so that the image is not only attractive for a human reader, but is also compliant with whatever system is going to accept or refuse that image.
Good. Yeah. I'm surprised marketing companies haven't figured that out and using it. I mean, the people design covers.
No, I think it's getting noticed, this service.
No, so my frustration with AI is everything changes every day. And I know everyone on this call would agree to that. Especially things that worked before do not work again. One of the specific frustrations is the project section of ChatGPT. It loads very slowly. It's not user-friendly at all anymore. Maybe I have too many projects, but wasn't that made to have all those projects? and searching for things is more difficult now. What do you think the underlying reason is? And then why is it that certain tasks take so long for ChatGPT to do? So I go to Claude, Meta AI, which I mentioned to Frank. I utilize multiple different, and I also pay for the premium Google. So I've not tried Nano Banana enough, but they say it's way better image creation than ChatGPT now. There's just so many options out there, but why are we, when we get used to a certain platform, does it go down and digress in ability?
Yeah, it's an interesting phenomena that, like you said, we have all experienced, and it's a little bit like software upgrades, because essentially it's still a software, the AI model, the large language model. And if you remember, we discussed a couple of weeks ago, sometimes you don't want to update to the latest software on the same day. You want to wait that people will give the bugs and stuff for let's say the first week. So I have the same feeling that the same thing is happening with the LLMs. Every time that ChatGPT comes up with a new model or an update, they break some stuff, they bring some stuff that are good, but things that were working well before, they're not working anymore well until they catch them back again. And we had a discussion specifically about SEO with one of our clients this week. Neil, you were talking about SEO, and he brought up the same subject. He said, I stopped using ChatGPT 5 because although it's the latest version, it's actually giving a lot of less performant text than I have with ChatGPT 4. So he went back to the old model of ChatGPT 4 that he knows there is no more updates. It's going to perform exactly the same way as where it was left. So this is what I think is happening, Neil. If we adopt every little change, every little update, then we're going to encounter this back and forth that these giant models are dealing with.
Totally.
As an author, and this is for authors, it's pretty confusing. I mean, Neil is on top of this stuff, but all these different AI programs, how do we counsel authors to use which ones, or start with one, or step it up, or give them some sort of strategy that the authors could use?
Yeah, I think Neil has much more experience in how you call it, juggling with multiple AIs.
No, and I like it because it's interesting but it's again a solution. I've been able to increase my productivity in my agency by 10x since last year, and it's all because of AI. And that ability, when it slows down the production, you go somewhere else. And you find somewhere else. Like Claude has a certain limit, which is frustrating. Maybe I'll pay for the more expensive version. ChatGPT is, but I think for authors, they need a coach that's going to guide them through the process or teach them. Go through a mastermind, go through the process, but have a coach that's going to say things are going to change tomorrow. Not, I have a great cheat sheet that's going to work forever. I wonder how many of those cheat sheets have fallen apart, Dr. Mohhmaded.
Yeah, a lot. The evolution of AI is phenomenal. What works, what was established as a monopoly when you do an innovation, and maybe that monopoly was lasting for years before and then months. But now, like you said, with AI, it suffices that somebody is going to push a new model and the whole game is reset again.
And what works now? Do you think a lot of the conversations that happen regarding AI are driven by agencies and really they're not, or driven by someone trying to sell a solution versus really what's best? Is this really a scientific thing at this point? And you have to tweak and test and try again because what works today doesn't work tomorrow, and that really no one knows what's happening right now.
Yes, I think there is an American expression: you have to keep on the tiptoes with AI. You have to always stay aware, like you said, because if it doesn't work, and sometimes, Neil, I think you noticed, it doesn't work, but only for a week. Or it doesn't work only for those 4 hours where maybe the AI model was overwhelmed. So there is also like a temporal thing to it. And when you come back, it happened to me. I come back with the same prompt the next day, and then it gives a much better answer. So you have to always be ready to not use the same model that you've been using for the last 2 months, like you said, Neil. If you're getting crystallized around one model and one approach for too long, then it may play against you.
Well,
And I think, and maybe if I may, guys, because we have, there are different world views on AI, and there are different world cultures around the use of AI. And I think for us, because I'm born in France, so I have like the European. My background is more like European background, European approach to technology. But you guys, the American approach to technology is different, and then the Asian approach to technology or the Russian approach is completely different. So sometimes I also look at the Chinese AI models or other countries' AI models, and sometimes they break through because they have less regulations. So I think regulation plays a role as well, Neil, because AI, like we discussed before, in terms of people who may have suicidal thoughts or want to do something dangerous with AI. And I know that the American authorities and most of the European authorities, they also were very aware. So they ask the AI companies to lock some aspects of the AI models.
Okay. Go ahead with another question, Frank.
No, I'm just saying this is very confusing.
Yeah.
How do you approach? Is there any way you can say start with this, then step to this, and step? Is there any kind of roadmap that we can give authors how to use AI? Is there anybody put that together yet, or is it still a wild, wild west out there and everything is just crazy?
Yeah, well, I think that's exactly what we need to bring out as a knowledge with our interactions. But we could maybe what could work, given the nature of these changes, is that there is a framework or a method or a way of thinking. So often, when we do training, what you want to look at with your public is a thinking process change, a thought process change that will last. And the thought process is first to understand that what AI can do, what it cannot do, what you need to be ready to accept. And I think from my experience with you guys, maybe 50% of the time that we were discussing, the subject was, what do we tell to authors that do not want to use AI because they think that AI is not good for them? So it was more like, it was not so much technical, it was more like emotional and ethical, maybe. And we could provide like a guide that brings you through all these steps. And then once the person is actually wanting to use AI, then there are some guiding elements that Neil has already highlighted a couple of them. And you will not be lost, but it is an experimental science. You have to continue hands-on and be experimental.
Well, that's something. I don't know, Neil. Maybe that's something you work on. I mean, you know all these things. Maybe at the basic what is it like an idiot's guide to AI.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote a couple of idiots guides, and yeah, like an idiot's guide to AI. I'm surprised that's not out there yet. No, that there's not a book out there by the idiots people.
Yeah, it should be there, yes.
No, and it's so true. And you deal with it, you're like the idiot's guide to AI. I'm surprised it's not happened. It will at one point, right? No, but here's the thing. It's ever changing. The book would be totally useless today than yesterday, in so many ways. So Dr. Mohhammed, I guess with the GPU problem,
Mhm.
do you think that other solutions will always be better and you have to go find other solutions because of the GPU problem with companies that don't have really the revenue to make it as profitable as possible?
Yeah, that's I think there are two parameters right now, if you're talking about AI companies, yeah. Yeah, there is a GPU problem, and I think especially in Western countries, there is an electric consumption bill problem. It's taking from the grid, and like other industries may not have enough electricity because the AI data centers, they're swallowing the whole of the electric power. So you have the AI data centers and then the crypto mining. And these two are pumping almost all the grid energy. So I think those two together are impeding development
Wow.
in a way.
I think so. And so where do you see ChatGPT? Do you think they're going to win or is Google going to win?
It's very interesting. I don't know if you saw the news. Some of them are investing in others between them. So I think Google invested in OpenAI, right? And
Yeah.
in Nvidia invested in OpenAI just recently, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
I read.
Google really hasn't, because Google wants their product to be successful.
Yeah, which is the weird thing. It looks like they want to have their own product successful, but they don't want to have all their AI eggs in one basket. So they still invest in others. So
That's weird.
yeah, it's a weird conglomerate, or it's a weird organization between these big guys, because sometimes you find them having interests in multiple AI companies that look to us as competitors.
And see, and Dr. Mohammed is the expert when it comes to doing code. I'm more of a prompter. And
Okay.
coding and prompting are two things that are needed, that are necessary. But how to and learning is something. Like Frank, I think what you're seeing is that I really am frustrated by this. Is I was hoping that ChatGPT would be the all-encompassing one. The answer is, if you want the best product possible, you have to use like 5 softwares as
Mhm.
services, and you got to continue to improve them. And then there's another software for a SaaS product you got to buy next. It's
Yes.
ridiculous. Frank, what do you see in that? I mean, like I talked about, when we're going to do this, when we want to create a video, a movie trailer, if we didn't use Gemini's program, because again, it's limited, we would use Sora to create the videos. After we use Sora, we would go to Canva to put it together with music, and then go and use 11 Labs to do the voiceover. Frank, that's a lot.
And it's crazy, I know, but we're using this trailer idea for one of my books to be the genesis of an actual movie. I want to see AI create a movie, literally.
Mm.
And I think that's the challenge, right? So we're going to start nibbling at this. We've already pulled together a slideshow. That's what it comes down to, with the letters or the text underneath. So now we're going to move toward voiceover of that text. Okay.
Mhm.
And the next step is to take a brief synopsis, a brief cuts of the dialogue between two characters. And that's what I'm trying to do now. And I'll be working with Neil on that. It's just taking two characters, a scene, have them produce that in Sora. Okay, so I have the slides and nick them together. All right. Then we're going to go over voiceover and say, actually them mouthing the actual dialogue, and so throw that into that trailer that we made, so that we show, instead of just environmental action, showing two characters talking to each other, just like a real movie trailer. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I want to push the limit. I want to push it as far as it can. And Neil is the man to understand all these things. And we want to piece them together and see if we could actually make a real 2, 3 minute trailer with voices, and so make it just like a movie trailer.
Yeah, you weren't happy with the one, but that was because it was probably, we got to look at the dialects and work on the dialects. So there's a lot more going down into the trenches, per se, to make it happen. Like someone else tried to do their own audiobook, and you can use audiobooks using 11 Labs. The problem is the pronunciation. Let's go back to the author
Mm.
guy. The publisher, Paul, isn't that the biggest challenge with using AI and voiceover, is that they don't use the proper dialect for English or another language?
Yeah, well, a lot of authors don't really care about the dialect because they don't use characters in the way to culture and environment. They just say that they're giving information from a character's point of view. So yeah, like my characters are all in, they're Irish, they're English, they're French, they're, whatever. So and I really insist on having uh people speak as they would in person, right? So but a lot of people just use, even in the I see it even in Southern novels. They don't really care about the dialects that are used in the South of the United States. So they put perfect English for every Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes along, right? And so I don't really think that they are much concerned with the dialect itself. So, but
Mm.
there are authors that do. So, but I'm not sure that that's the main problem. The unfortunately, right now, the main problem for audio is that a lot of the audio representatives that are distributing the matter do not accept AI generated voices, right? Audible does now, and a couple of others, but last year zero of them did.
It'll
Zero.
change. It'll
Right?
change soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. So that's what I mean. So they're progressing, and one thing I wanted to say about the AI guide guide guidance thing kind of thing is that I think probably a lot of people think of AI as one entity, right? But you've had a lot of companies come along and say, "Oh, I can do this with AI specifically, and I'm going to market that thing," right? So which complicates the platform for lots of people, like as uh, we were saying here is that how do you do, where do you go, and all this kind of thing, and is it the Wild West? Yes, it is the Wild West right now for us because everybody's doing a lot of things with it, and it's not come together just yet, right?
Yeah.
So I think when you get to the point where it's more sentient, when it starts thinking for itself, then you're gonna be able to do a lot of things with one thing of the AI, kind of thing part. So just patience, I guess, because
Patience is the virtue.
Yeah.
it's coming, but it's not coming as fast as a lot of people would like, and it's coming faster than a lot of people want it to.
I know.
So
And then people say it's dangerous because it goes to a certain political leaning. It's craziness. But if you don't utilize this and become better, then don't make AI replace your job. Become better than AI. I don't know if people ever think that can happen, but it's true. Become better than AI. Become
Yeah.
smarter than AI. Give yourself that opportunity. And that's key. All right. Best place to go are three different places: the HoloManSeries.com, FrankFiore.com, and RTILA.com. And me, you just can Google me. Appreciate it, guys. That was a special Trimulcast. Is there such thing as a Trimulcast? On the Neil Haley Show, the Artilla podcast, and the